Hey there YouTube, welcome on back to Artichoke Dip. Now this will be the third video in my series. If you're new to tabletop RPGs or particularly solitaire tabletop RPG gaming, a how-to video of some of the supplements, some of the things you're going to need. And in this video we're going to talk about campaign settings. So if this sounds interesting to you, stick around for the video. But before I get into it, if you liked the video, click the like button. And if you have not subscribed, you just stopped in here, feel free to click that subscribe button, followed by the bell icon. Every time I upload a new video, you'll get a notification so you don't miss one. All right. Campaign settings. A campaign setting is not a role-playing game. It is a role-playing game add-on, or like an encyclopedia. It's going to give you information that's going to be crucial to that particular campaign world. If you decide to use a campaign world, or if you decide to just go 100% randomized creation of the world, you don't know what's going to happen. Everything is just going to materialize as you go along. I really don't enjoy that type of play. You can. It's very, how do I put this? Unstructured. And it's more so just rolling dice and record keeping than it is actual role playing and having a good foundation of a story behind it and how your character really is a part of this world. And when you have that, especially for solitaire play, it's a more cohesive, it's more enjoyable, and furthermore, it really keeps you coming back to it. Because with solitaire play, you want to think about it like a television series. Each game session is going to be the next episode in the television series that you watch that's going to lead up to it. And an example I'll use is X-Files, where the main story that we have is Fox Mulder, Dana Scully. We also have antagonists along the way that they refer to as the Smoking Man and other various influences. But the scope of the story, the idea, and it doesn't matter if it's an episode you have not seen or one you watch several times, is it's about two FBI agents that are sent out on unexplained cases that nobody can explain, whether aliens from a different planet or hauntings or government conspiracies, doesn't matter. You get the idea. This is how a campaign setting operates and why it's really good for a solitaire player. Now, most campaign settings that you get, like from the One Ring I have here, they're going to give you a map as a visual aid to be able to locate where certain places are in the world, right? I mean, this is good. This is a good thing to have. This is something that helps make things more understandable, if you will, rather than just reading a paragraph out of a book and sitting back and imagining it. You can do that and create your own. Now you can read it, you can look on the map, and it's going to give you a better idea of how close in proximity this place is to other locations you may want to go to on the map, how long it's going to take to get there. And it's going to give you a lot of that information that's already been done for you. So it takes a lot of work out of that. And for the solitaire player, this is really important, because anything you can find a resource to help with that is going to give you more time to focus on playing and less time involved with building that. Now, don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. Building your own campaign setting is a very, very rewarding and cool thing, because you can set the parameters exactly the way you want to do it. Now, with that being said, I'm going to show you the way that I did it, and using the Tome of Adventure Design to help what I have at this point. So where my new campaign setting started, the whole idea came out of was a friend that I play games online with, and we recently played Runebound on Tabletop Simulator. If you're not familiar with Runebound, Runebound is an excellent game. It really is. If I can find my Runebound box, thought I had it over here. Oh, there it is. Right here. It's an excellent game, and it, in fact, is just a board game. But it's a board game that plays like a light RPG where you take on the persona of a character and your goal is to level up this character, try to complete as many side quests as you can and the story quest to be able to build your character up as strong as you can get it for the final showdown of the final boss in the battle. That's the general overview of Ruinbound. And it's also something that if you're a solitaire player, it's also a good resource. And I'm going to show you why, what I used out of that, and how I built this campaign setting. Now, I love Fantasy Flight games, and I have quite a few of them in my game collection. So when they came out with this campaign setting from Fantasy Flight Games, The Realms of Terranoth, it was a no-brainer for me, and I had picked it up. And going through this really sparked my imagination, and sitting down with the Roombound maps and saying, man, you could do a lot with this. And I decided, you know what? It's time to do something with it. So campaign settings, as I said, are a great tool. Now, the thing about this particular campaign setting, I will tell you, is you're not going to get a big world map with it. It's going to give you a page of a world map, and the areas are going to be very small, and it's not going to give you a whole lot of information, but it does give you enough. It gives you enough, and if you're a seasoned gamer, that'll be really what you need. But, well, I want to play in the realm of Ruinbound. So using the map in Ruinbound, get to the other side because that's where my location start is. I decided I wanted to start out here. And this is Donsmore. And the neighboring city to it is Tamalar right here, and we can see in between the two they are connected by a river. Okay, so that's just looking at the map, general idea that, you know, we can see. Now, reading the text in Donsmore, and the first paragraph, let's see how they explain Donsmore. Founded by refugees during the Second Darkness. Okay, this place is founded by refugees. Donsmore is a city of mixed groups, including mercenary companies, nomadic tribes, traveling caravans, and most notably, a large elven population. Despite its relatively small size, Donsmore location on the Flametail River gives it excellent access to trade and a water route to nearby Tamalar. Towards the east. Okay. It keeps going on from there. And it lists off key areas within Donsmore that they have road, like the Forge, Frostgate. Frostgate is the northernmost of the free cities and enters into the wild, the untamed lands of the eternal winter. And, you know, there's more areas in here of what they label underneath the free cities than just Donsmore, so it gives you a great wealth of information. But I'm focusing on Donsmore, and so based off of what I have here, I have a visual aid on a map that shows me where Donsmore is at, where the neighboring city is at, and the river that connects the two. But now, I want to take this a step further. I used the Tome of Adventure Design to do this. So taking those basic parameters, okay, I know that Donsmore was founded by refugees, and reading more into it, you know, this is a river city. It's not like a fortified city where you would expect to see city walls. They're going to have a large army, a force to be able to repel outside sieges or attacks, and you're pretty much going to have a uh, very stringent government, I'm going to say, that's going to rule above this, whether it's a king or a council or what have you, to where you're going to have laws that are going to be enforced upon the population. Whereas if this city is more of an adventure city, this city, the way I'm imagining it, is more so everything is built off of the common acceptance that everybody is there of their own free will, and basically trouble can rear its ugly head up at any time, but for the most part people come here whether it's for rest or entertainment or whatever it is. That's why they're coming to the city, but nevertheless it still has the opportunity for trouble to arise. Okay, so now let's see what, after plugging into the Tome of Adventure Design, the basic ideas, what I got out of that. So the general overview is Dawnsmore is a city full of cutthroats, drifters, elves, and adventurers. Because Dawnsmore lacks city walls and all sorts of riffraff are drawn to the city. But to the north, the Flametail River sends trade to the Tamalar if you can navigate the Blackwing swamps. Okay, so a little bit more information that I put in there than they gave us, because looking at this map, I was like, let's take a look at the swamp here. This swamp looks like there's quite a bit I could do with that. I could put quite a bit of encounters in there, and I could make that more interesting rather than just the characters pass through the swamp area on a barge or a small boat or whatever. Now, it's going to offer some complexity into the RPG itself and along the travels. There's going to be more I can do with that rather than the river just being a river. Now the river can become an adventure unto itself. The swamp can become an adventure unto itself. Now, plugging more information into the Tome of Adventure Design, I went a little bit further into depth over Dawnsmore and built my overall structure, if you will, that I'm going to operate within. So some of the things that now I know about Dawnsmore, whereas of just looking at the map, I didn't know before. And that is, Dawnsmore is best known for its Ale House Festival, a huge event in the late summer that is held underneath the summer lunar eclipse. Because of a large elf population, large elk are commonly bred and sold for farming or as travel. So large elk are a common sight to be seen around Dawnsmore. Now, inside of Dawnsmore, there are different guilds, and the guild masters and anyone who has influence to the guild, that have influence within the guild, and the political, I should say, political economic structures of the city, they all have an identifying tattoo located somewhere on their face. Some of them, it's very small and discreet, and you have to know where to look to be able to see the symbol, where others may have large tribal type of a war tattoos of the symbols on their face. It may cover their entire face. So everybody knows what guild they're affiliated with and whose banner they fly underneath. So that's a cool thing that the Tome of Adventure Design, a twist that it put on it, that kind of took this idea that basically started out with a place on the map to something larger that you can see. Now, there we go. The custom inside of Dawnsmore, when there are meetings being held, strangers meet for the first time, or there is more of meetings between guild houses that could possibly um, escalate and turn into a war, is the common thing that they do here is when they meet with other guild houses, or they meet amongst themselves or with strangers, is they hold their arms like this and they nod, and this is supposed to be the peace binding. So the peace binding shows that I'm not armed, I mean you no harm, and I'm meeting you as showing you mutual respect, that I have not come here to harm you. So in the way that I worded that out of the Tome of Venture design, was the custom is to hold your arms crossed out in front of you and bow. This ensures you come in peace and your arms are in the peace binds for all to see. Okay, Dawnsmore is an adventure city full of entertainment and other distractions. So that right there gives us more information. We know this is really an adventurous city. This is where they're going to go. They're going to find entertainment. They're going to find other distractions, and you can take that however you could take it in any story direction, whether it's from a casino to a brothel to whatever. I mean, it's very open-ended, and I love that about it, because now that opens up more possibilities in more areas later on in the game that I could create and populate just based off of that. Now, it also did mention it had a large elfish population, and I reflected that in the notes using the Tome of Adventure design, and that is, as you would enter into the elven, heavier populated areas of Dawnsmore with the elves, you're going to see flags, and these flags are going to be stringer flags that are going to be connected across the rooftops, and they're going to cross over the roadways and alleys and stuff. And these are large cloth triangular shaped flags that point downward, that wave in the wind, and the symbol that they have on them is the elvish symbol of eternal light, and they fly those in memory for people from Dawnsmore that have lost their lives, whether to work, war, or adventure, and they put those up as a memory for them, kind of like a prayer, if you will think about it. So that's where I went, starting from just a picture on a map to a brief paragraph in a campaign setting as the structure work as they explained it, plugging that into the Tome of Adventure design to what I have for my solo RPG play, which I have a lot more information to go off now. This actually opens things up a lot more, and it's giving me a broader idea of what I have to work with. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to need for my campaign setting to bring into this, to a couple of things to finish it off. First thing is an antagonist. So as I explained in the the example of the X-Files, the antagonist, the smoking man, the one guy that's always standing in Fox Mulder and Dana Scully's way, always doing things that are questionable, and he's just always this black cloud that seems to be looming just behind the shadows of everything, pulling the strings. And as they get close to solving a mystery, at the last moment, all the evidence is removed from them and they are sent back to square one. That is the purpose of an antagonist. In my game, I decided that the antagonist I'm going to use is straight out of the Runebound game and part of the Terranok world, which is this High Lord Margath. And you can see there, Margath is a very large red fire-breathing dragon. And let's learn a little bit more about Margoth and how Margoth ties into the campaign setting. So, the High Lord Margoth wishes to bring the realm under his control. He wants everybody within the realm of Terranoth to bow to him, to worship him, and this is his wishes. This is what he deems himself more worthy, I should say, of a life form than everybody else on the face of Terranoth, so he should control it all. Now, Margoth, and this is how I took it in a different direction with the antagonist, so because it would be foolish to bring this guy out in the beginning of the game and pit him against my characters. It's going to be a quick campaign, they're going to be dead. So the way I like to use the antagonist is going to be the third party influence that's going to be calling all the shots from behind the scenes and sending his minions out to make your character's life more difficult, to give them challenges, mysteries, and other things to go about. And I reflect that here because Margoth has a loyal following of cultists and cutthroats that do his bidding. His minions will stop all who stand in his way. So you can see how he's got minions spread across Terranoth. They're everywhere, all doing the bidding for Margoth. They're all loyal to him, whether, doesn't matter how psychotic they are, but this is why they are there. That's going to give me a lot more options. It's going to give me a lot more to think about with encounters too. Particularly now, instead of just littering my game with a bunch of encounters that don't make a whole lot of sense, like, hey, it's daytime, we're traveling across this wilderness area and we run across a huge population of goblins. Okay, well, it's daytime, so you're probably not going to find them. And two, this prevents it from being cookie cut out. It prevents it from being too wash, rinse, repeat, I guess I should say. Now I have more options to control from, to be able to control. And when it comes to encounters, now at this point, I have a blueprint that I can go off of. I have cultists, and we have cutthroats. Now, when I say cutthroats, cutthroats can be mercenaries, they could be thieves, they could be rogues, they could be assassins, it could be even weak-minded, manipulated commoner or townsfolk turned against the adventurers. It's all up to you. Now, if we look at Margoth, he's a fire-breathing dragon. He's evil, which means with that abundance of evil and power in a creature that large, not only the human aspect is it going to attract to it, but just think of all the other evil creatures that inhibit Terranoth that may be called to his service to do his bidding. So you can see what I mean. It's kind of it's writing itself at that point. Even I haven't even started the game yet, and I already have a really good idea of encounters, how encounters are going to come into the game. Dawnsmore, where I'm starting out, I know the task my character is on, how Batoma ties into all of this. And let me just recap. So, real quick, we know where Dawnsmore is. We know that Dawnsmore is now a sprawling river city. It's not fortified. There's a lot of adventures. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. We also know that there are guild houses. Now, Batoma, this is where my character starts out. And my character, he is to deliver a very important map to the Thieves Guild, particularly the guild master, Maybuin. Another NPC coming in, Maybuin. And we're going to see how this goes. Now, I'll explain to you why I say that. An old and manipulative individual is Maybuin, but If Batoma passes, my character, if he passes this errand, he delivers this map and he's able to find him, he will become a member of the Thieves Guild, which means at that point, the location of the Thieves Guild will be revealed. I'm going to make, at that point, a Thieves Guild. And this is going to be an area my character can go back to. He can find resources, he can find weapons, he can find healing, he can find hirelings if he needs to bring in and to help him. All those things will be opened up to him. If not, though, the location will not be revealed, which means it won't show up in my campaign. I will not know where it's at, and at that point, well, Batoma's going to have to find another, I'm not going to say career because he's a thief, but another focal point in the future, which means maybe he has to go off on his own as an independent thief without a guild and finding whatever work he can get. But you can see how this all ties together, how the campaign setting really does help the solitaire player. I mean, I went from a simple paragraph, a picture on a map, and now we have this larger framework to work within. Now we have an idea of how to create encounters, to populate them, NPCs we're going to find there. We have a better overall idea when we go into the city, what the city's going to have to offer. We know there's a large elven population. There's large elk that run in herds that are bred there and sold for farming, like you would as horses or transportation. And so there's a lot going on that we didn't know before this point, and that is campaign settings and why they are very, very valuable tools as a solitaire player. The replayability of them and the freedom that you're given to be able to, well, create your own worlds, and utilizing some simple tools along the way, you can make some really cool stories. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video on campaign settings, particularly for the solitaire player. And then the next one, I'm going to get into more of the tabletop and some of the things we're going to need there. Okay, my friends, stick around for more. This is Artichoke Dip, signing off.